Welcome to the Lynn MA Sportscast.
I'm Sean Donahue.
And I'm Jessica Starbard. We've got a great show lined up for you. I'm going to sit down with local sports journalist John Hoffman.
And in the Coach's Corner, we'll be meeting with head coach of the Lady Spartans lacrosse team, Eaton.
And we're also going to check out this week's game of the week. But first, let's head to the Sideline Sportscast with Donahue.
The YMCA runs an annual Healthy Kids Day in the spring that aims to help kids and families learn the importance of a healthy mind and body. This event is held at over 1,600 YMCAs across the country. We got a chance to speak to some of the Lynn YMCA staff about this event.
All right, today's event, Healthy Kids Day, is a national event that the YMCA hosts annually every year on May 2nd. What we do is we try to showcase to the community what we offer here at the YMCA. I've been running a basketball clinic on Saturdays from 8 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon, based for ages from 4 all the way up to 15. Basically what we're trying to do is just increase and enhance the skills of all the kids in the community with their basketball skills. A lot of them think playing pickup ball all the time and just shooting hoops is just basketball, but we're teaching all the fundamentals of the sport. So it's a good thing. We got a lot of professionals, a lot of semi-professionals on the Tides team that are helping us out. It's a really good program, and for anybody that's interested or know any kids that are interested, they should come by and check it out at the Lynn YMCA.
What are some of the activities you guys offer besides the whole basketball thing? There are other sports that you guys do offer here that I'm sure a lot of kids would be interested in.
Yes, we have the core program, which is a summer program that we host here, and which, I mean, summer programs involve, going on vacations and a lot of workshops, youth developmental workshops. We also provide here fitness programs for the kids. We have a Fit-Tastic course that runs after school from 2:30 to 3 o'clock, and that's Monday through Thursday. And like I said, it's a half-hour course, and we go over basic fundamental exercises that they can do at home.
Hello, with me now is David Alden, a BMX rider. What are some of the events you plan on doing with the kids today?
Well, so I did a little bicycle stunt show where I talk about the importance of staying safe on the bike, wearing a helmet, but I also talk about staying focused and following your dreams, and how if you avoid some of the negative influences in life like drugs and alcohol and other bad things like that, that you really can try to follow your dreams and do what you want to do in life. So I used to ride years ago. I started riding in the mid-'80s. And I rode all over the country and did bicycle stunt shows and rode professionally for a little while. But then I stopped about 15 years ago and did other things in life. But over the past couple of years, I remembered how much I loved riding these bikes and just kind of got back into it.
I know you have a personal connection to the YMCA with your father. Tell me a little bit about that and why you feel so personally connected to be out here and helping these kids.
So my father, Ralph Cronin, was a member here at this Y, and he passed away in February. And one of the things that was really inspirational was seeing all the people whose lives he's touched in a positive way. His service was amazing. Just the outpouring from the community, it was really overwhelming. And to see how much he had done in his life, it made me realize that, I should step up and do a little bit more too. So this is, one of the ways I have to do that. I think people like the bike shows, and I can try to incorporate some good messages into it, so that's what I've been able to do.
Tell me a little bit about the event. I know this is a huge event. Over 1,600 YMCAs have this event around the same time, getting the kids prepared for the summer. What do you think are some of the goals of this event today?
Well, some of the goals of the event is to let our entire community know that they can access the Lynn Y for healthy living. Today specifically is Healthy Kids Day, so we invite in all of the youth and teens from our community with their families so that we can demonstrate many different ways of staying active. There's so many different ways that we can stay active, and it's even better if we do it as a family. So that's really today's message.
Do you guys have some sponsorship for these kids to be able to come here and participate in these activities that you guys offer?
Yes, actually, I'm glad you asked, because we do have an annual campaign which relies on the generosity of donors. So we're hoping that everyone that hears this will consider making the Lynn Y their charity of choice.
I know kids become more inactive in the summer and don't know where to go to be able to do some activities with other kids in the community.
Absolutely, so important. As a matter of fact, we always consider Healthy Kids Day our kickoff to summer, just like we consider Memorial Day kickoff to summer. So we're right in that time frame, and lots of things that people pick up here can give them things to do in the summer. We stay active all year long. The same program I told you about, the core, has a summer schedule. It's from 8 to 6. Families can sign up at a very reasonable rate. Because of that, it does fill quickly, so they probably have another month or so to get in and get the weeks they need. So that's happening. And then we will have youth basketball. We have our exercise classes for teens through adults that happen all year long. The lifeguard program's going on. We have a pool with you can swim laps and do water fitness. With the children, we'll do supervised hikes to Lynn Woods and those type of activities.
For more information on today's event and for membership information, please visit www.ymcametronorth.org or call the Lynn YMCA. From Lynn MA Sportscast, I'm Dranusha Jasufi.
Now with your look at local sports news, the St. Mary's softball team held their first annual walkathon this week. The girls and their coaches walked the track in order to raise money for their team as well as the Joanne Druzy Foundation. Run by former Patriot star and cancer survivor Joanne Druzy, they help families battling cancer with financial and emotional support.
June 28 marks the date in which the Lynn English basketball golf outing will take place at the Reedy Meadow Golf Club in Lynnfield at 1 p.m. Food, refreshments, and raffles will be available. For more information, you can reach out to Mike Carr or Steve Stranahan.
The Spartans lacrosse team took on Greater Lowell this week. Junior Rich Cadigan had a career-high 9 goals. Kyle Smith and Andy Kramer would all rack up their first career goals as well. Defenseman Mark O'Toole ran the length of the field, not once, but twice for 2 assists. And freshman goalie Brendan Donahue had 6 saves in the Spartans' 16-4 victory over the Griffins.
In softball news, Classical hosted the Lady Bulldogs. Chris Warren had to have been happy with the Rams' performance as they cruised past the Bulldogs with a 20-3 victory over them. Let's go to that game right now on this week's Game of the Week.
Northeastern Conference softball. And as I always like to talk about it, it's Thanksgiving in May. Anytime English and Classical gets together, seeing in the Northeastern Conference, I've been coaching for a long time. And that's ball 4. Perez draws a walk. That right arm out. And that's ball 4. So Kensington gets an easy RBI with the walk. Hits it into right field for a base hit. It gets by Perez in the outfield. That's ball 4. He's got 2 of the easiest RBIs you can get and had a whole third. They get the bunt down and it's thrown away. Lined in the left field for a base hit. It gets right through the wickets. And that's going to roll forever. It'll be a single and a 3-base error. Top to second, Donahue with a little underhand flip. Make sure second play of the inning. Hit off Zaremi. That took a bad hop. That's going to be a base hit. Hit to left. Newhall does it again. Nice play. As I said, they haven't had a hit. Tobin gets a base hit. He lines it just inside the foul line. Hit the second. Tobin makes the play over the first. 3 outs. Classical will go to 500 at 6-5. English will drop to 1-13.
We are sitting down with local sports journalist John Hoffman. He's celebrating his 30 years covering sports in the city of Lynn. So let's get right back to the beginning. How did you start covering Lynn sports?
It's really a strange story. I've been connected with sports all my life. I used to cover sports for the Globe and the Herald, and as a young kid, helping my brother, who was the item sports writer, and my father was the public address announcer for all of the major sports, the Red Sox, the Braves, the Bruins, Celtics, fighting, boxing, anything at Boston Garden, the old arena, Fenway Park, my father announced. And so I've been connected with sports forever. My wife knew that. She saw a message on Warner Cable, which is the first system to come here in the city of Lynn. And they had a message saying anybody who would like to announce a game, call this number. She called and gave him my name. And I come home one night and she said, they want you to do the Classical Sagas football game at Manning Bowl. And that was it. I went to work with Ray McQuiggan. I did the color. I thought that was it. I figured I'd do one game because they were letting anybody who called that number get a chance to do it. So I thought I was one of many. And Dave McCarthy, who's become a very good friend, was the executive producer, director, and chief cook and bottle washer back then. He saw something and he kept bringing me back until finally Ray McQuiggan retired and I became the play-by-play guy.
And what's the most difficult part about doing play-by-play for any sport?
I honestly don't find it difficult at all. I find it amazing watching the kids perform, and each and every time I must have said 1,000 times in 30 years, now I've seen it all. And then the next game I do, something else happens, so I stopped saying that. But just watching the kids perform, and whether they win or lose. I mean, sometimes the games are, some of the Lynn kids get beaten badly. Most often they win more than they lose. But even when they lose, I notice they're still trying, they're still giving a proverbial 110%. And I've got to know thousands of them over 30 years, and they've all become friends. I've adopted some of them. And it's great. I don't really find it difficult at all.
And describe maybe the fabric of Lynn sports that makes it different than other communities like Revere or Saugus, just the different surrounding communities, and what makes Lynn different?
Well, I think the ethnicity, the group, like, we always say come over from the country's a melting pot. I think we're a melting pot, and I think a lot of Swampscott, Marblehead don't have all of that. And they don't have, of course, they don't have 4 high schools, and they don't have the competition within the city, like when English plays classical. Or, I mean, Marblehead, Swampscott is a rivalry, but, the kids in Lynn play youth soccer and youth hockey and Little League and Babe Ruth, all with and against each other. A lot of them are very good friends, boys and girls. And, it means a lot to win that game, a little more so than it does, although it's important for Marblehead and Swampscott. But I think the different groups and the people that are friends that play with and against each other make a big difference.
And we see you at Connery, we see you at Manning, we see you at Fraser, we see you at all the different high school basketball games. What is your favorite sport to call?
Well, I used to think it was basketball because I coached for a lot of years. I coached CYO basketball and I coached at North Shore Community College. But football is getting up there too. I like baseball. Obviously, I love softball. I pitched fast pitch softball for many years. So I suppose there's not a great drop off for any of them. I don't mind doing them. Baseball's a little longer with walks and wild pitches and stuff, but baseball and softball are the only ones that aren't timed with a clock, but everything else is timed. But I would say basketball and football would be probably 1 and 1A.
And when you think about the games that you've covered, and there's got to be thousands, if not millions, at your rate.
I don't know about millions.
I don't know.
I'm not that old, Jessica.
But you're just all over the place. I feel like every time I turn on the TV, I hear your voice calling a game. What game stands out in your mind as, I guess, the highlight?
All of them. No, I think they pinned me down a couple of times, and what I've said is I would list it as 1, 2, and 3. Number 3 would be the first game that my wife introduced me to. I did the color for. Number 2 would be the first game I ever did play-by-play for. It was English classical. Ray McQuiggan was having surgery and he couldn't be there, and I didn't know. Thank God they didn't tell me until I showed up that I was doing the play-by-play, because I was used to doing the color. And I showed up, and both teams were 0-9. Dave Dempsey and Clark Crowley were the coaches. And we did the game, and everybody thought 0-9, it's not going to be that much, but it's English and classical. It went down the wire, and Jimmy Smith kicked a field goal and won the game with almost no time left in the clock. It was a great game that announcers pray that they'll do. And the other one is exciting because it's really 1 and 1A. English played Swampscott at Swampscott, English couldn't go to the Super Bowl, but they could have an undefeated season. And they had the football running out the clock, and they fumbled the snap. Swampscott had the ball on their side of the 50-yard line, going from left to right on your TV screen at home, and the quarterback threw it, and two English kids came together and got bumped together and fell out of the play. And a young man, Mr. Howard, whose brother is from St. Mary's and pitched for the Red Sox, caught the ball, went in the end zone, and denied English their undefeated season. That night on Channel 5, thanks to Dave McCarthy, who gave Mike Lynch, my good friend, a three-sport athlete at Swampscott High School, I gave him a copy of the tape, and he showed what became known as the Blocksidge bomb on Channel 5 and left my voice in. So I was on Channel 5, I'm part of his sportscast. And then fast forward a year, and again, it's English and Swampscott. This time, English can go to the Super Bowl. English has the ball on their side of the 50-yard line, going from left to right on your TV screen. Chris Warren, the quarterback, who's the assistant AD and a very successful softball coach at Classical, lets it fly. Two Swampscott kids come together and knock themselves out of the play. Kenny Todd catches the football, goes in the end zone. English wins and goes to the Super Bowl. That night on Channel 5, Mike Lynch, again, thanks to Dave McCarthy, showed the Blocksidge bomb and what became known as the Manning Bone Miracle, showed both plays. So I was on a little bit longer on the Channel 5 sports program. So that was quite a treat. You know, after I had announced, when my father announced at the old arena, at the old Boston Garden, at Brace Field. And then I did, thanks to my friend Frank Curie, I did a couple of games, Mass Connecticut All-Stars at Fenway Park, and sat where he sat. This was like just an added benefit, getting to be on Mike Lynch's Channel 5 sports program.
So that was a benefit. And when you look back at the 30 years, you're going to be honored with a testimonial on June 19th.
Don't remind me.
Why not? You don't want the recognition, but why not?
Because I don't do it for recognition. It's fun. I can't believe they're doing this for me, for something that I would do in a heartbeat, and I love doing it, and it's fun, and anybody that could possibly have the opportunity to do what I do probably would love to do it. And just the fact that the big benefit for me are the people I've met. The families, the parents, the grandparents, the family members, the umpires, the referees, the visiting coaches, all the coaches of the city, the thousands of players, and you and I do Everett football. Getting to know the superintendent at Everett very closely, and the great coach at Everett who just got into the Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I saw that.
The coaching staff, the players, all those great fans, all those people. I can't put a number on how many there are. That's payment. When I'm in a restaurant and they come over the table and say thank you, and they walk away, and my wife says, "Who's that?" and I say, "I don't know." You know, it makes you feel really good. It makes my family really proud. So that's payment enough for me. I don't need the accolades, but I'm happy for it. I'm going to go through it, basically because my wife and my daughters, they deserve it. They've given up an awful lot. They've given me a free pass and let me do this for all these years, and they haven't said, "Hey, wait a minute, what about us?" That's, I'll go through it because of all the work that Al Melanson and the great committee he's put through, which your father is involved in.
Yes.
And it's great. I've got so many friends, and I just look back, and I just look at every day I say to my wife and my daughters, "Don't pinch me, I don't want to wake up."
Well, you don't want the accolades, but I'll give them to you. I've learned so much working with you at different sports in Lynn and then over at Everett. I've learned a ton from you, and I know that you've touched the lives of so many athletes in Lynn, whether they're current players or players from years past, because every time we talk, it's like you're an encyclopedia. You know everybody's name, and I'm sure you've touched their lives just so much more than you could even imagine.
Well, Jessica, I go back, being as old as I am, I saw Harry Aganis, I saw Mecca Simorowski, I saw Boley Dansowitz, who's a very good friend, by the way. I saw great players, you know, Tippy Johnson. I played basketball at the Boys Club with Eddie Robinson, who still holds the record for most points in a basketball game. I watched Peter Pedro, and Peter was a teammate of mine at fast pitch softball. You know, I saw Timmy Frazier, the first one to play as a 9th grader, play 4 years at Classical. So I've run the gamut from Aganis to now I saw Lucas Harris this year throw a touchdown pass and pull a game out of the fire for Lynn English. So, you know, I go back so far, the spectrum is, and again, don't pitch me, I don't want to wake up.
Thank you so much for all that you've done for the city and for coming on the show. Now we're going to head over to the Coach's Corner with Sean Donahue.
Welcome to the Coach's Corner. Here with me, Al Eaton, head coach of the Lady Lacrosse team over at St. Mary's. Al, thanks for being here.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about you before we get into the team too much. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you got involved.
All right. I picked up a lacrosse stick in 1974, played as a kid a little bit, and when I moved up here years ago, my daughter was playing over in Swampscott. She started as a freshman there, and they needed some help with their JV team. I'd been coaching soccer for several years.
Okay.
And so I kind of just stepped in, not knowing anything about it, but Coach Donnelly did a great job of kind of educating me, and I studied whatever I could. U.S. Lacrosse has a lot of great resources.
Oh, yeah.
And EMGLCA and a few other resources that I took advantage of. So I kind of did my best to educate myself between that and Coach Donnelly. And so I coached JV there for 3 years. When the St. Mary's job was posted, Coach Donnelly actually suggested that I go for it because I think it was time. I was ready to make the move. I was really loving the sport. It's different than men's lacrosse. There's no physical contact. There's actually very little in common with men's lacrosse. They use the same goal. Otherwise,
right? That's it.
There's similarities with cradling and the techniques, and that's one of the things I'm able to carry over from before. But so I've been coaching St. Mary's for 2 years now, and last year's goal was to double our wins record, which we got 6 wins last year versus 3 before, and this year's goal is to make tournament. We have 4 games left. If we win 3 of those 4, which is attainable based on our competition, hopefully we'll meet that goal.
Now, from playing men's lacrosse back in the 70s, when it was a real violent game.
All wooden stick, too.
Yeah.
All wood, not just plastic.
Right, and it was, the whole entire stick was wooden.
Yeah.
I mean, that back then it was even more violent than it is today.
Yeah.
But as you had mentioned, girls lacrosse is a lot different from guys lacrosse.
Yeah.
Was it an easy or difficult transition for you to make from men's lacrosse to coaching?
Offensively, there's a lot more similarities. Defensively, it's completely different. It's closer to basketball than any other sport. There's, charges are called, so the defender has a right to their position. If the attacker comes into their space, they'll get called for a charge, loss of possession. So defense was the hardest thing for me to wrap my mind around. Once I started to really make the connection between basketball and the girls lacrosse is starting to come together.
Yeah, definitely. And it's an interesting game. It can be frustrating as well. There's a lot of whistles called, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that it's a lot like basketball, because it is. It's about trying to draw in fouls, trying to get open position, but also kind of obtaining your area. That's a big part of it, like holding that space. St. Mary's, I coach football and lacrosse over there. We've bumped into each other a couple times. We see each other down at practice. What do you think about the school?
I love the private school. There's so much more of a community there than you'll find at other institutions. When I've coached other programs, one of the things I always try and do is have the team do some kind of community service. I really don't have to make that push here because the girls are all doing a lot of great community service things, and I think the school does a great job of making them a better person all the way around because they expose them to all those things. So I'm really loving St. Mary's as a school.
It was easy.
A lot of great kids.
It was easy for me to kind of fall in love with the school too, because I mean I went to classical, and back in our day we kind of always were like, St. Mary's, there's nothing really special there. But we were wrong, man. Without a doubt, the community sense, and that's you mentioned the kids. They're already doing community service. It's like, all right, let's do some community service, and it's like, get with it, coach. We've been on this for 6 months.
Right.
So
I don't.
put you to shame a little bit.
It's not a piece that I have to put together for them. They're already all over it.
Yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about the league, just in general. It's CCL large for you guys too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so AP, AC, Williams. Actually, I don't think AP is in the CC.
Yes, Austin Prep is.
Okay,
They're actually top of the division right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when your girls go out and play, who do they get all revved up to play against?
I know they talk about Fenwick being the rival, but recently I think we've been going after Williams. They're the team that we've had the closest games against. We've had 2 games. We lost by 3 goals in both games, and it's the team that we're definitely going to be targeting going forward.
We play Williams, and you know, their coach over there, this new guy for the men's team. I had started asking him, you know, where do you get your guys from? Where's the pool? And a lot of them are South Shore kids, which is different from us. A lot of kids aren't playing lacrosse when they're younger.
Yeah.
South Shore kids are playing lacrosse when they're younger.
Yeah.
So one thing that I found difficult is being able to kind of find time to train our guys. But I spend the first 6 weeks of the year kind of teaching catching, and throwing. How do you go about and getting girls with experience?
Well, I mean, just to your point about the teaching them, my years in Swampscott, there was no youth program at all. Girls would show up to tryouts, hold a stick for the first time at tryouts. So we'd have to teach them right from there. So to me, I wasn't really worried about that. We have several starters on varsity this year that are only in their 2nd year of lacrosse.
Oh, wow.
So it can be done. It's actually, they tend to pick it up very quickly. So that's not as big a deal. But you'll see the youth programs are growing. Now Swampscott, for example, does have a youth program. I have one of my players came out of their youth program that's playing this year for us, and she's against freshman starter. So yeah, there's not a big recruiting aspect, I guess, right now. I mean, either St. Mary's is for you or it's not, I guess. Right. What I'm trying to do is myself getting more involved in the youth programs. I've been volunteering over at Swampscott Youth Lacrosse for the last couple of years. I go there after practices very often these days to help out with their U11, U13, and U15 teams. That just try and kind of add a new perspective to their coaches and their teams. And you know, somewhere in the back of my head, I'm not sure if I can get it going or not, but I'd like to at least at a minimum hold some clinics in Lynn. Maybe we can start to get something going here. Yeah. I also talked to the Winthrop coach. She's trying to get something going over there, so we might partner up.
Yeah.
But I think developing more youth programs is going to be really what's going to help feed us.
That's going to be the key to it. I agree with you 100%. Now, you guys have an event coming up.
Yeah. We're at our second to last home game, we're playing Fenwick. And what we're going to do is have a fundraiser for Crohn's and colitis. We have a player who's been diagnosed with that. And I have a former player in Swampscott who's also got the same disease. And it seems like if you look around, you find there are a lot of people with it. So what we're going to do is have a fundraiser. We're going to have some raffle items and selling some T-shirts, things like that, trying to bring some more exposure to the disease and hopefully raise some funds.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, thank you.
Al Eaton, head coach of the Lady Spartans lacrosse team. Thanks for being on. Let's go to this week's question of the week. Tweet your answers to our Twitter handle at Lynn Sportscast for your chance to win a free pizza from Tony Lena's on Boston Street right here in Lynn. Last week's question was, nickname the kid. This Red Sox legend set the single-season hitting record in 1941 with an average of 406. Who was it? There was no answer. The answer, of course, was Ted Williams, so there will be no free pizza this week. This week's question is, the 1946 classical football team defeated Granby Virginia High School in the national championship game. Who was the famous left-handed quarterback who led them to victory? Again, you can tweet your answers to our Twitter handle at Lynn Sportscast for your chance to win a free pizza from Tony Lena's on Boston Street. Well, that's it for this week's edition of the Lynn MA Sportscast. Thanks for tuning in. If you have a sports story or you just want to give us some feedback, you can visit us at www.LynnCAMTV.com/shows/Lynn MA Sportscast. We're also on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Lynn Sportscast. We want to say thank you to all of our guests. That's it for this week's edition of the Sportscast. From the studio here at LynnCAM TV, I'm Sean Donahue.
And I'm Jessica Starbard. Have an awesome week.